As the government shutdown drags on and his approval numbers plummet, Donald Trump faced reporters at the White House, lashing out at Democratic governors like Illinois' J.B. Pritzker and even going after a federal judge he himself appointed, just because that judge ruled against him. But before we break it all down, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated. All right, let's take a look at Trump's latest outburst on his way to a naval anniversary event, right here.
Are you open to extending the Affordable Care Act subsidies?
We want to fix it so it works. It's not working. Obamacare has been a disaster for the people, so we want to have it fixed so it works.
All right, let's start there. The government shutdown keeps dragging on partly because Donald Trump refuses to negotiate on protecting the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, and Medicaid. Both were gutted by his so-called One Big Beautiful Bill, which has been such a polling disaster that even Trump admitted it needs a rebrand. From the start, Trump has tried to destroy Obamacare not because he has a better plan, but because of his long obsession with undoing Barack Obama's legacy, the same grudge that fueled his birther conspiracy nonsense. Despite holding the presidency, Senate, House, and even a conservative Supreme Court, Trump failed to repeal or replace Obamacare during his first term, a major policy embarrassment. And during the height of COVID, he even pushed to have the ACA struck down, risking health coverage for millions in the middle of a deadly pandemic. This has never been about policy. It's about ego and revenge. For a decade, he's promised something better, but delivered nothing. Still, he's recycling the same failed talking points once again. Here's the clip, right here.
We're going to look at that. It was amazing. Portland is burning to the ground. It's insurrectionists all over the place. It's Antifa. And yet the politicians who are petrified. Look, the politicians are afraid for their lives. That's the only reason that they say, like, there's nothing happening. And you've seen it. The place is burning down, and they pretend like there's nothing happening. So we'll take a look at the order. We haven't seen the order yet.
Portland isn't burning to the ground. That's just another baseless claim from Donald Trump. If local leaders were truly fearing for their lives, they'd be the first to call on him to send in the National Guard or federal troops for protection. But they haven't. Because his argument doesn't hold up. Once again, Trump's rhetoric is incoherent and detached from reality. What's really happening is that he's using Portland as a testing ground to see how far he can push his authority to deploy military forces inside the country. And it's clearly backfiring. Speaking of backfiring, here's the clip where Trump lashes out at a federal judge he himself appointed, just because that judge ruled against him right here.
If they put judges like that on, I wasn't served well by the people that pick judges, I can tell you. Things like that are just too bad. I appointed the judge and he goes like that, so I wasn't served well. Obviously, I don't know the judge, but if he made that kind of a decision, Portland is burning to the ground. You have agitators, insurrectionists. All you have to do is look at the television, turn on your television, read your newspapers. It's burning to the ground. The governor, the mayor, the politicians are petrified for their lives. And you have a judge like that, that judge ought to be ashamed of himself.
I'm fairly certain the judge in question is a woman. We'll get to that in a moment. But once again, Trump is revealing himself as a figurehead, and the irony is almost comical. Republicans love to claim that President Biden is just a puppet being controlled by his staff, yet here's Trump admitting he didn't even know who he appointed to the bench. So what does that make him? Just a rubber stamp in his own administration. By his own words, he comes off as weak, easily influenced, and outmaneuvered by the very people he surrounded himself with. Think about it. Trump personally nominated this judge, had her confirmed by his Republican allies in the Senate, and now he's angry simply because she ruled against him. In his mind, judges are supposed to serve him, not the law. That's how transactional his view of power really is. And the fact that even one of his own appointees ruled against him shows just how far outside the law his actions were. We'll likely do a deeper dive into this later, but for context, this entire situation started when a Trump-appointed federal judge blocked his order to deploy the National Guard, a decision that clearly didn't go his way. Judge blocks Trump's deployment of National Guard in Portland, Oregon. The federal judge appointed by Donald Trump issued a temporary restraining order siding for now with Oregon and Portland lawyers who called for federalizing the Guard, a presidential overreach. A federal judge on Saturday blocked the Trump administration from using the Oregon National Guard soldiers in response to nightly protests at an Immigration and Customs Enforcement building in Portland, Oregon. Judge Karen Immigrant. Okay, again, a woman of the U.S. District Court of Oregon sided with Democrats who run the state government when she issued a temporary restraining order blocking the mobilization. Trump and the Defense Department had ordered 200 Oregon soldiers for a 60-day deployment. In her ruling, Judge Immer wrote that she expected a trial court to agree with the state's contention that the president exceeded his constitutional authority in mobilizing federal troops for local work and likely violated the 10th Amendment. So that's the context for this. That's why Trump is so pissed. Very pathetic. Now, I also mentioned that Trump attacked Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois, a Democrat, and Trump has also said federal agents to Chicago and Illinois, ostensibly to assist ICE deportations. So this is Trump reacting to Governor Pritzker of Illinois.
You say you're targeting the worst of the worst, but Governor Pritzker said that most of the people ICE has taken is no criminal conviction. So which is it?
He's wrong. Number one, he's wrong. Number two, I really believe he's afraid for his life somehow. When you can have 40 or 50 people killed over the last couple of months, hundreds of people wounded, there's no place like that in the world. Hundreds of people wounded, 55 people shot and killed. And Pritzker gets up and says, what a wonderful place it is. They need help. Washington, D.C. is now a safe place. You're not going to get mugged or hit. You're not going to get raped. You're not going to get anything. Washington, D.C. went from a hellhole to a safe place. I love the way you nod. Is it true, though? A lot of the people right here were mugged, reporters. And you know what? You're safe now. Nothing. We've had no crime. It took 12 days to solve the problem. 12 days. And we're going to do that in Chicago. We're going to do that in Portland. Now, Portland's different. That's a bunch of paid insurrectionists. But you have a lot of paid people in Chicago, too. I believe the politicians are under threat because there's no way somebody can say that things are wonderful in Chicago. Almost 55 people over a short period of time have been murdered in Chicago, have been shot. 222 people over a short period of time have been hit, have been wounded, not died. But 55 people died over a short period of time. You're telling me there's no city in the world like that. We're going to straighten it out. And I think that Pritzker, he's not a stupid person. I think that Pritzker's afraid for his life.
Crime still exists in Washington, D.C., but Trump's logic here is absurd. Sure, if you flood an area with troops or the National Guard, crime might drop. But by that logic, we should have soldiers patrolling every street in America and live under a military dictatorship. That's what authoritarian regimes do, not democracies. You might see fewer crimes in Russia under Putin too, but that's not freedom, that's fear. Reducing crime can't come at the expense of civil liberties. As Bill Maher once joked, if you want to end car accidents, just ban all cars. But that's not a real solution. The same logic applies here. Trump's claim that deploying the military anywhere will make America safer completely ignores the separation between civilian government and the armed forces, one of the country's most fundamental principles. And his excuse that Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is afraid doesn't hold up either. If that were true, Pritzker could deploy the National Guard himself, which he hasn't. None of this adds up. It's just more incoherent rhetoric from Trump before heading off to the Navy's 250th anniversary event. Thanks for watching, and if you stuck around at the end, you can drop the blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.